Hey fam, I want you to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Roland S. Martin. And don't forget to turn on your notifications. Speaking of the absolute nonsense from Republicans, folks, on May 2nd, the Florida Senate, that's right, approved making ex-felons pay fees to have the right to vote. Now, you might remember, Amendment 4 was passed in November. 65% of the people voted that changed the Constitution to restore the voting rights to folks who were formerly incarcerated, except those who were convicted of murder and things along those lines. It was a huge, huge deal. Desmond Meade, his wife Sheena Meade, they led this effort. But I warned them, and I warn you, chill, because trust me, Republicans were not going to be silent and watch upwards of 1.4 million people added to the voting rolls in Florida. So what do you think happened? The Senate has passed it. The House has now passed it. Now, Governor Ron DeSantis has not said whether or not he is going to sign this into law. Here's the argument that they are making. They are making the argument that full restitution means not just you serve your sentence, but you paid back every dime to the victims, also to the state. So what they're saying with this bill here, and in order for you to get your right to vote, you would have to pay back all fees, meaning if a judge ordered you to repay a victim $125,000, you would have to pay back the full $125,000 in order for you to get your right to vote. One of the arguments that they are using is that they're saying that even the lawyers for the folks with Amendment 4, that when they went to the Supreme Court to get this certified, that they said that could be an example of full restitution. The question is, if the Amendment 4 lawyers make a huge mistake, because Republicans are trying to hang their hat on that technicality. But the bottom line is this here: even though voters went to the polls in November to pass this, and the intent was to give those who were formerly incarcerated the right to vote back, the Florida legislature, led by Republicans in the House and the Senate, and this Republican governor, they may very well say, the hell with what the voters decided, we are going to determine who gets the right to vote back. Julian, I keep trying to tell black people and everybody else, Republicans are not going to stand idly by and watch voter initiatives change what they want. They know that if you start registering those folks formerly incarcerated, it could change the balance of power in the state of Florida. And I said this was going to happen. I kept telling people, stop. Y'all better be prepared for it.
Celebrating is what you're saying.
And look, and even Desmond said, man, you told us, but if they're still trying to hold out hope that this won't get signed, forget that. Ron DeSantis will sign this into law.
He will sign it into law, and it is a poll tax. And let's look at our history of poll taxes. Back in the day, when people, formerly enslaved people, went to go vote, they started imposing taxes. They had various reading tests and all of that. This is a poll tax. And as you say, if someone owed a victim $125,000 and they've just come out of jail, the likelihood of them getting $125,000 extra in the next 10 years is very low. So they really will not be able to vote. We don't know what other kinds of fines. This becomes very discretionary. How many other kinds of fines will be piled on? Other kinds of costs will be piled on? Will they add interest, Roland? I mean, that becomes another issue. And so this really is a circumvention of the people's will. But as you said, and as many have said, when we're looking at these Republicans, all you have to do is look up on Capitol Hill to see what's happening with these liars who are defending that man who lives in the White House, the house that enslaved people built. All you have to do is look up there and say that these people have no sense of integrity, no sense of honesty, no sense of truth. The people spoke, and what they're saying is, oh, hell no, we're not going to let it happen.
Johanna, hold tight 1 second. This is an explainer about what took place in Florida. This is from the Miami Herald website. Okay, not sure why we're not getting any audio. We have it. So let's see if we can try this again. Let's see. Hold on 1 second. I'm going to reset this, folks. Just bear with me. And so again, this is from the Miami Herald website.
Everyone in Florida can vote. There is an estimated 1.5 million Florida citizens who are banned from voting because they were convicted of a felony. Greg James, pastor of Life Church International, is one of them.
And the effect that it has is that there are members in my ministry who believe in me, who follow my instructions, whose lives have been changed. And here it is, I'm subject to where I can live. I'm subject to the different situations that I have to encounter, checking the box. I mean, I'm subject to even understanding about getting back in college. There's so much that hinders the process when you don't have your rights. Absolutely. I've served my time.
You're done with probation?
Done with probation, but I'm still in a limited capacity of how I'm able to live life, pay taxes. If I don't pay taxes, guess what? They're coming after me. So there's taxation without no representation. It's a bad state to be. So is it possible that people would reoffend? Of course. But the opportunity to be made whole again kind of puts that possibility at a disadvantage, because now you got something to live for, you got your life back again, and without being restored, it makes life difficult for you. I even made the effort because I already know that it's a useless effort because the time frame that is required. So to petition would be just a waste of time when I already know it takes up to 12 years. Yeah, so I haven't even thought about it.
When I asked them, you want to register to vote, they don't really want to say why, but you can see when they avert their eyes. We've done something psychological to a whole group of people who, quite frankly, we've re-traumatized them, because the evidence shows if you want people to participate properly in society, you've got to give them a stake in that society. As an election official, for example, the number one indice for who votes and who doesn't vote is, do you own a home? If you have a stake, particularly a physical stake in society, you will get participation in that process. By excluding people from the process, you actually give them a reason not to participate, because they can't.
All right, Johanna, this is, again, when the voters passed it to change the state constitution, they want to steal the election next year.
See, here's my position on this. I think voting is a civic duty, and it's also a fundamental right. And what's happening here is a direct attack on the poor, right? Because as we know, when people are released from prison, it is extremely difficult to find employment. We know a lot of employers discriminate against individuals who have criminal records. So in most cases, they're not able to find employment, right? You can't even buy a burger, can't even find a place to live. Now you want them to pay back restitution before they can vote, right? To engage in a civic duty. But another point I have is that I think the Amendment 4 lawyers made a mistake. I think that language was foreseeable, that it will be challenged, that it will come up again when this is discussed in the Florida legislature. So I think that I'm not going to blame anyone, but I do think that it was an error. We should have looked at that language much closer. And as Senator Thurston said, he said, if paying one's bill were the key to be able to vote, a very large segment of the population will be disenfranchised, including myself, right? As someone who went to law school, who has enormous student loans, right? I would not be able to vote. So I think that we definitely need to revisit that mandate, and it needs to be discussed thoroughly. And I am appalled, I'm disgusted, as someone who is from this, I grew up in Florida, in Orange County to be specific, and to see what's happening. I was so happy about Amendment 4 when it was passed. You know, I called my friends and I said, you know, thank God now we can finally have the right to vote after you've served your debt to society, but look what has happened. And it needs to be challenged, and I'm not sure what the next step is.
Teresa.
I think it's a disgrace. You know, we say we love for those that have second chances, but I think the restitution piece is really heartfelt, because inside of prison, people are making 14 to 21 cents an hour. And then when they come out and try to get another job in society, they're being denied. So they're being denied housing, they're being denied employment. And so we look to our elected officials and our elected leaders to be in our best interest to represent the people. But then we have disgraceful tactics like this in order to bound some of our people, especially the poor people, in those communities that they want to gentrify and also create opportunities for developers. So I'm not in agreement with it at all. And I do agree with the other two ladies that obviously a time of change definitely needs to come. But I do think this is a national cry, because if they're able to pull this off in that city, then I think this is something, the playbook that they will use in other cities and states. And we can't let that happen.
Roland Martin Unfiltered, be sure to join our Bring the Funk fan club. Every dollar that you give to us supports our daily digital show. There's only one daily digital show out here that keeps it black and keep it real as Roland Martin Unfiltered. Support the Roland Martin Unfiltered daily digital show by going to RolandMartinUnfiltered.com. Our goal is to get 20,000 of our fans contributing $50 each for the whole year. You can make this possible. RolandMartinUnfiltered.com.